Hi, this is Lamenter's Jail, and I wanted to show you the easiest possible way to defeat the Golden Shade Godfrey in Lanedale at rune level 1, weapon level 0. You can check the description of the video for a brief description of where to pick up all of the items that enable this strategy. And two of the items do actually require defeating some monsters to obtain, so I'll show you a little bit later in the video the easiest way to defeat those monsters for the Lightning Spear and the Barricade Shield Ash of War. Everything else besides that can just be purchased or just kind of picked up off the ground. You don't really need knight armor because the Barricade Shield Ash of War is going to be enough for you to be able to not take any damage, but the knight armor is there just in case. You will survive the ground stomp, area of effect move that he does if you have knight armor on and a boiled crab, but if you do the strategy perfectly and just use Barricade Shield whenever you're in danger, you won't actually even need armor. And the easy strategy is basically just to run away from Golden Shade Godfrey, and he is weak to lightning, so you just keep on throwing your lightning spears at him, and you just do this while staying kind of far away from him, and eventually you'll just win. When you're far enough away, he just walks towards you and doesn't actually do anything. He doesn't have any ranged attacks he can use, so you can just safely throw lightning spears at him from a distance. And when he does get too close, the only really thing that he can do is throw his axe at you. He'll jump up in the air and then throw his axe at you and then kind of come down to the ground for a melee fight. The way to avoid this is to always either be moving forward or backward. If you're constantly strafing backwards and he throws his axe at you, you're going to avoid it just because you're strafing backwards. It'll hit right where you used to be standing before you strafed backwards. And then you can either just run away again or run towards him past him so that you can get to a spot where you can make distance from him again. If he's backed you into a corner, there's two things you can do. You can either walk forward and then this will likely trigger him to throw his axe at you, and if you're just continuing to walk forward while he does that, it will avoid you, and then you can just run away from him as he lands. Or if that's not an option and you're cornered and he's really close to you, you'll just use Barricade Shield, and this will actually protect you from pretty much all of his combos. You can kind of just hold up your shield while Barricade Shield is active and just kind of strafe around him so that you can go in a direction that will allow you to make distance and be safe from him. And that's the entire strategy. That's everything you need to know. I consider this to be something that anyone can do because you don't need to dodge anything. You don't need to learn how to dodge any of his moves to do this. All you have to remember is if you're close, use Barricade Shield and try to make distance, and then when you're far, throw lightning spears at him and just try to stay away from him so that you can safely use your mana potions to replenish your mana when you run out of lightning spears and stuff like that. If you're backed into a corner, just walk forwards and hopefully he does the axe throw and you can just continue to walk forwards and that will avoid it and you can just make distance again. Or if he doesn't do that and he does something else, you just use Barricade Shield and that will protect you and then you can make distance again just after doing that. And congratulations, once you've defeated him, you now have a 4th talisman slot at rune level 1, weapon level 0, and you didn't really have to learn a whole lot in order to achieve that, so that's pretty cool. Now, as promised, I'll show you how to get the Lightning Spear incantation and the Barricade Shield Ash of War very easily without actually having to fight or struggle at all. For the Barricade Shield, all you have to do is come over here to the Castle Morn Rampart site of Grace that's kind of up the hill from Castle Morn on the Weeping Peninsula. It's right next to the merchant that you get the kukris from. And you just need a ranged weapon. I use a short bow with arrows here, normal arrows. You could use serpent arrows to make it a little bit faster, but that's not super necessary because this guy doesn't have that much health. Or you could use fireballs or a lightning spear or any kind of ranged attack really. And you just use torrent to jump up this spirit spring onto the crumbling wall that's kind of near where the Knights Cavalry spawns. And then you just go over to the end of the wall and stand there, and when the Knights Cavalry sees you standing there, wow, I'm really bad at saying cavalry, but when he sees you standing there, he'll kind of always go to the same spot and just stand there and watch you as you stand above him, and he won't really move even if you attack him. So y'all can just stand there and look at each other while you shoot arrows into his face. He will sometimes move, but even if he does move, he will go back to that same standing spot very consistently. And so there's not really a whole lot to it. You just stand there at the end of the wall and use range attacks until he's dead, and then you have the Barricade Shield Ash of War. And then for the Lightning Sphere, you just have to defeat a random wandering knight in the Liurnia of the Lakes region. He's just south of the Artist Shack, kind of on the east side of the region. And the best strategy to defeat him is just to get a whole bunch of staggers. I like to use a hammer type weapon, so either the club or preferably the Morningstar because it does bleed damage as well. Just makes it a little bit faster. And you just have to get 3 jumping attacks to stagger him, or you can do a charged heavy attack and a jumping attack to stagger him. I like to start the battle with a jumping attack because that can kind of close distance, and then just do 2 more jumping attacks because it seems like he can't really do a whole bunch of moves. All of his moves kind of take too long for him to be able to hit you before your jumping attack is done. So you can pretty safely do 3 jumping attacks in a row and then get your critical hit, and then once he's critical hitted, you just immediately start charging up a charged heavy attack, and once you've done your charged heavy, do another jumping attack that staggers him again, and you just do that over and over until you win. I did this a few times and it was very reliable for me, so I think it's reliable in general. Very safe and easy way to get the lightning spear. So now with that, you have everything you need to defeat Golden Shade Godfrey the easy way. So now we'll transition into the part of the video where I show you all his moves and how to dodge them and how to interact with him as a melee character. Like I said earlier, he is weak to lightning damage and also pierce damage. So I would recommend using a thrusting sword of some kind. You can buy this one that I'm using here from the merchant in the Roundtable Hold. And really the reason I like using thrusting swords for this battle is because they take very little stamina in order to use like a light attack. And this battle is pretty fast paced. You'll be trading blows quite a bit, so not using that much stamina is very useful. And as for the neutral position in this fight, you'll always kind of want to be trying to either strafe or dodge to the right and forward. You'll want to stick to Godfrey's right side as much as you possibly can, because this is going to trigger him to use some of his moves over and over again, and strafing to the right is a way to dodge a whole lot of his moves as well, so you can put yourself in a good position to be able to continue progressing through the fight. If you just know that every time you attack, then you'll want to immediately start strafing to the right and forward. Just try to get onto his right side. This double axe swing attack that he's using right now is a good example of why strafing to the right is a good idea. If you strafe to the right and just hug him and make sure you're staying close to him, you can just not even dodge this attack. You can just continue strafing, and then you'll put yourself in a good position to be on his right side to do a couple light attacks. And when you're there, he will often just want to do this double axe swing attack again. So he'll just kind of chain this same attack over and over and over again as you're always strafing to the right. That double axe swing is his most common move, and then very commonly after he does the double axe swing, he's going to do this ground stomp reposition move where he kind of like retreats a little bit and then does a ground stomp. You'll just want to jump over this and then do a light attack while you jump, so just do a jumping light attack when he does this, and that will close the distance as well as do a little bit of damage. It's the best way to deal with this. He also has a couple other ground stomps that he can do. Just the normal ground stomp where he's just standing and he does it right out of neutral. You can just dodge right and then do a light attack for this one if you want, but you can also, if you catch it early, just strafe to the right and continue to try to stay as close as possible to him, and that will allow you to maybe get a second light attack in there as well. And then he has like a third version of his ground stomp where he will do a wind up where he holds his axe to his side and then does the ground stomp. This basically just means he's about to start an axe combo. Usually that's a 4-swing axe combo, so just be aware that that's coming out when you see him holding his axe to the side when he does a ground stomp. Another thing he can do just right out of neutral randomly is this dragging axe attack, which is usually a 4-hit combo, and there's nothing really to it. It's nothing special that you have to do. Just continue to dodge to the right and stay close to him. Usually with combos like this, if you do manage to strafe around to his back, he will stop his combo early and then just do something else, like the ground stomp reposition, for example. He does that a lot. Something else that's kind of similar is this ground slam axe attack, and whenever he does this, it is also an axe combo starter. You're going to have to expect other axe attacks after that, but the kind of insidious thing about this attack is like immediately after he uses the first attack in this combo, he's going to do a second like follow-up attack that's really fast and doesn't really have any tell whatsoever. You just have to remember that it's coming. One kind of tip that I have though for this ground axe slam attack that he does is you can just dodge to the right for the initial ground slam, and then if you continue to strafe around to his right, that second attack that he does that's really fast is just going to miss you, so you can just start doing light attacks after that. If you're at sort of a medium distance away, he'll often do this like one-handed overhead axe swing move that does have a pretty long range, and it's longer than you would think. So if you do see him using this, you'll probably want to dodge, because even if you think you're far enough away for it to not hit you, it might still hit you because of the range. And he does do this kind of like within his axe combos whenever he's doing those, and you'll dodge it the same exact way when he does it in the combos. Just dodge the initial first swing and then sprint around to his right side in order to dodge that second swing. It'll give you a good opportunity to do like a charged heavy attack or something. And then for his very fastest attack, that is the most difficult one to avoid, it's this like handle attack where he hits you with the handle of his axe. It's very difficult to dodge just because it comes out so quickly, but luckily it probably won't kill you. This attack doesn't do that much damage, so you can just still probably win the fight even if he does hit you with this. And he definitely consistently follows this fast handle attack up with axe combos, so just know that that is a combo starter as well. He also randomly does like a jumping axe slam where he jumps up in the air and then slams down again. You'll just want to dodge forward when he does this, and then when he does like the spinning overhead axe slam after he does that, you can dodge that either just by actually dodging to the right, or you can sprint to the right like you do when he does the overhead slam out of neutral, and that will also dodge it. And finally, the last move that I kind of want to go over is the jumping axe slam. This is the one that he uses when you're doing the easy method. He'll mostly use it when you're kind of at a distance from him, so if you stick up close to him, you might not ever see it. But just something to keep in mind is when he throws the axe at you when he's up in the air, all you have to do is dodge backwards when the axe is about to land, and that will set you up with a good opportunity to do the lightning slash attack. That will rebuff your weapon and make you do more damage from that point forward. It's just probably like one of the only two opportunities in the fight where you're able to do that safely. The second opportunity to do the lightning slash and rebuff your weapon is when you've staggered him. You can usually stagger him maybe like twice per battle, and taking the critical hit after a stagger is not necessarily the best thing to do because that doesn't buff your weapon again. I like to do the lightning slash instead because you'll end up doing more damage because your weapon is buffed after the stagger. And doing lightning slash plus a couple of light attacks is plenty safe to do after the stagger, and it's pretty much going to do like the same amount of damage that a critical hit would have done anyway, so there's no loss to doing this instead of the critical hit. And that's pretty much it for the tips that I have for this fight. The rest of the video is just an example of a hitless fight that I did against him, so you can kind of see the dance that you'll be doing with him and the flow of the battle. And if you want to see more weapon level 0, rune level 1 videos like this, guides and whatnot in the future, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks.